Hello everyone. Today I'll be talking about the chikungunya virus, a mosquito-borne virus that's caused outbreaks in several parts of the world, and I'll be walking you through where it comes from, how it spreads, what symptoms to watch for, and how it's being treated and prevented. For causal agents, CHIKV, which is also short for chikungunya virus, belongs to the Toga Viridae family and the alpha virus genus. It first was identified in Tanzania in 1952 in a patient with a high fever. It does spread through mosquito bites, mostly from the Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus. A mutation in the virus allowed Aedes albopictus to become a major carrier, helping the virus reach more regions around the world. And I also do have a photo of the anatomy of the mosquito, like their pointed abdomen that's circled over here, and their thorax, their eye, their antenna. For epidemiology, CHIKV has spread widely, with high infection rates in Africa, Asia, South America, and the Pacific Islands. Places like Bangladesh and Thailand have seen infection rates as high as 70 to 80% during outbreaks. It also has spread to new areas like Brazil and the Reunion Islands, showing how fast it can move to new environments. And here I have a photo showing the spread throughout the years of CHIKV. And as we can see here in the dark red, it's the local CHIKV cases, and as we can see, there's some of like the tropical countries as well. And here in orange, it's the imported CHIKV cases in orange through travel. And as we see before, you can't see much of a difference here, but once the years go on, we do see more of the spread throughout the years. And here in blue, it is the unclear information as well. The groups most at risk are older adults, people with weakened immune systems, and those with chronic illnesses like diabetes. Also, outdoor workers or people traveling to tropical regions are at greater risk of exposure. If someone has a severe case early on, they're more likely to experience long-lasting joint pain or other chronic complications as well. For virulence and pathogenesis, one major factor in CHIKV spread is the environment. Higher temperatures make mosquitoes more active and allow the virus to replicate faster inside their bodies. As climate change continues to warm parts of the world, Aedes mosquitoes are expanding into places that never had them before. Different mosquito populations can also spread the virus differently. This raises the chances of new outbreaks in regions that are not prepared. To be more specific, CHIKV is a single-stranded RNA virus with two main genetic regions. One produces a non-structural proteins that helps the virus copy itself. The other produces structural proteins which form the outer shell and help the virus enter human cells. To infect us, the virus binds to glycoaminoglycans using proteins like E1 and E2 glycoproteins, and these basically help the virus attach and fuse with the cell. It also uses receptors like MXRA8 and CD147 to get inside and start reproducing. Once inside, it takes over the cell's machinery to make more copies of itself and spread throughout the body. And I do have a photo here showing like the whole process and the steps. Like here we see the first step, which is binding right over here, and we see how it uses the receptors GAG or DC sign or MXRA8, and then we see the entry over here, and it fuses with the cell membrane, of course, and it releases its RNA into the cell. And then we see replication over here, where the viral RNA uses the cell's machinery to make viral proteins and more RNA copies. And then we see the assembly right over here, where new virus parts, like for example the capsid, are put together in the cell. And then we see the maturation, and these parts go through the Golgi apparatus right over here, and where viral proteins are processed and activated. And then for the final step, we do see the budding and releasing right over here. And the new virus is wrapped in a membrane and released from the cell to go infect others. For clinical features, after a person is bitten by an infected mosquito, symptoms usually appear 2 to 7 days later. The most common ones are a sudden high fever, severe joint pain in hands, feet, and knees, muscle pain, headache, fatigue, and skin rashes. And I do have a photo of here showing the symptoms of it, like a headache, fever, back pain, chills, nausea, vomiting, skin rashes, and also joint pain. The acute phase of the illness usually lasts a week or so, but what makes CHIKV different from many other viruses is its chronic phase. Many people continue to experience joint pain, stiffness, and swelling for months or even years. In some cases, the virus triggers arthritis like symptoms or nerve compression disorders like carpal tunnel syndrome. And here I do have a photo showing some joint swelling as well, as you can see in the hands. For prognosis, most people recover, but for some, recovery is slow. Even after 2 to 3 years, they may still have joint pain or fatigue. Deaths are rare but can happen still, especially in people with other medical problems or during large outbreaks where healthcare systems are overwhelmed. For diagnosis, because symptoms are similar to diseases like dengue, Zika, and malaria, lab tests are needed to confirm it. The most common tests are the RT-PCR, which basically detects the virus in blood early on, IgM antibody tests, which shows recent infections, the IgG antibody tests for past infections, and virus cultures, which are accurate but also take longer. For treatments, currently, there's no cure for CHIKV, but several treatments are being explored to relieve symptoms and reduce viral load. One of the main drugs studied is ribavirin. It works by blocking the virus's ability to make more RNA, so it's basically stopping it from copying itself inside the body. In clinical studies, patients given 200 milligrams of ribavirin twice a day for a week saw reductions in joint swelling and pain. However, it's not without risks. Side effects can include anemia, nausea, and in some cases, kidney damage. That's why doctors use it cautiously and usually only in more severe cases. And the other backup therapies are chloroquine, and it is an old malaria drug, and it was tried early on because of its anti-inflammatory effects, but in clinical trials it didn't help much and even made joint pain even worse in some patients, and side effects include eye damage and stomach issues. For other backup therapies, Bendera is another experimental drug that's still in clinical trials. It works differently because it basically targets the body's inflammatory response by reducing pro-inflammatory cytokines. In animal studies, it helped relieve arthritic-like symptoms, but it also hasn't been widely tested in humans yet. There's also research into short interfering RNA, which can basically target the virus's genes and block replication, and there's also gene-based therapies like shRNA that are also being studied as potential long-term solutions. For prevention, until treatments are improved, prevention is our best option. That includes using bug spray, wearing long clothing, sleeping under mosquito nets, and getting rid of standing water where mosquitoes breed. This is especially important in tropical areas or places with poor sanitation. But there is good news is that there is a vaccine called IXCHIQ, and it was recently approved in the US for adults 18 and older, and it is a single dose vaccine, and while it may cause mild joint pain, it can prevent more serious symptoms. It's especially useful for people over 65 or those with health conditions that make infections more dangerous. In conclusion, CHIKV is a painful virus that causes lasting joint problems and is spread due to climate change. Although there is no cure yet, there are treatments being tested and a vaccine now available. Until better solutions are found, prevention and awareness are very important. Thank you so much for listening, and here is my reference page.